Hello, Nevada County. It's your friendly neighborhood political correspondent. I'm enjoying a couple of warm spring days here, as I'm sure you are too. But I hear we've still got some cold and rain in store before we're done with winter entirely. But this isn't a show about local weather, but local political leaders to educate and empower voters. And voters don't have much say over the weather, try as we might. So I'm going to get back on track and tell you about today's guest. I'm absolutely thrilled to have caught an opportunity to interview this gentleman, who is currently completing his final term as Nevada County Supervisor for District 2. Welcome, Supervisor Ed Scofield.
Thank you, MaryJane.
So thank you so much for being here today. This is a fairly casual conversation. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'd like to start off with, how long have you been a supervisor?
I'm finishing my fourth term, which means I will have completed 16 years when I'm done.
Wow. Is there some kind of record?
Oh, no. No, there's others that have gone longer than that.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I wonder what the longest is.
I honestly don't know. I know some of your larger cities, the supervisors really turn it into a career, and they've been there a long time.
Yeah, but in Nevada County, I wonder what the record is.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing around 20, maybe
Okay.
24.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So how did you come into being a supervisor? And also when you started, did you have any vision or intention coming into the role?
You know, I had been I was the CEO of the Nevada County Fairgrounds for 26 years, and I had figured at that point that 26 years was long enough. It's time to let some new blood get into the fairgrounds. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. Of course, I always followed local politics, and this particular election was coming up, and I was reading a resume of one of the people running, and I thought, I really don't agree with this person. And I thought, I wonder if I could do that. And I talked to my wife and one other person and said, let's do it. So yeah, that's got me into it.
Cool. Did you run on anything specific?
No, I really didn't. I think back to those times, Highway 49, as it still is, was a major issue. There was a number of deaths, and there had been a small committee that was created down in the South County, and they had become very effective. So I worked very closely with that particular group, and really I think Highway 49 was very much the focus, and then the rest of it was kind of the general stuff that, I'm conservative, I like tight budgets supposedly, and the type of thing that most new candidates go on.
Gotcha. So Highway 49 at the time was kind of like the Idaho, Maryland of the day?
Well, no, not really. I mean, 49 is something that's essential to us, but it was such an unsafe highway. I don't know that it's been improved dramatically since I was elected. And of course, 49 is not a county highway, it's a state highway, but we do work very closely with Caltrans on it. And actually, I'm the chairman of the Nevada County Transportation Commission also, which Caltrans sits in on every one of those meetings with us.
Well, it's great to hear that it's improved since you began being supervisor.
There's still a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of work that's coming on that project too.
Great to hear. So other than the safety of Highway 49, how else has District 2 changed since you began?
Well, I think some of the issues, I think that one of the biggest issues that we've had that has been a dramatic change in the South County. Not so much right within Lake of the Pines in that area, more the outlying areas. That's been the cannabis issue. And that's been that is something where I've gone from adamantly opposed to cannabis to, okay, maybe we can make this work. And then the people saying, hey, we think that this needs to be a product of Nevada County. So there's been a lot of changes that have gone into that. Some of the zoning, as most of our people know, we've had some major issues with that. And I look at it now and say, wow, there's still work that needs to be done on that ordinance. I support the cannabis industry, but I'm also very, very concerned about what's going on with some of the neighborhoods.
Right. So neighborhoods and maybe some of the water rights or the neighborhood character?
The neighborhood character,
Okay.
yes. When you have a commercial business, and I don't know that I really envisioned what a commercial business was going to look like back then. It was more like, okay, we're going to have these rows of plants, but you've got large greenhouses growing, you've got lights you have to deal with. It's really a very sophisticated industry. And if it's done right, it's not using a lot of water. I mean, to me, that's kind of a myth that's out there that's going to, and it will if with some of these operations that are not operating properly, but the ones that are permitted, they know how to do it.
Right. So it sounds like you've you've had some flexibility in your personal approaches to things, kind of in response to the community's will. Would you say that's correct? Yeah.
I said that at the time. I said I listen, and I do. And I even said at the time, I said, I will listen. You may not always like the answer you get from me, but I will listen. Mm-hmm. And I have tried to do that throughout my term.
Yeah, that seems like an important trait in a supervisor. So aside from the flexibility, is there anything else that, if you had a time machine, if you could go back to the beginning of your term, what would you advise freshman supervisor Scofield?
Well, I think when I was elected, we didn't make it in the primary. I had I and one other fellow went into the general election. So I didn't get elected until November, and then we started like 1 month later. Mr. Tucker, who has recently been elected, he has 9 months before my term is over with. So I would say, get to know the county. The county is an amazing, amazing government agency, and he's going to be surprised, I believe, as I was, with just how much the county does. They're involved with your life in many, many ways.
Yeah, they really are. So speaking of upcoming Supervisor Rob Tucker and the transition to him, is there anything that you're doing to help him with his transition? Has he reached out to you, or how does that work?
Well, we have communicated. Mr. Tucker has children, so they've been on Easter vacation. My understanding is he and I are going to connect, and I would hope that I can help him do a very good transition into the county. At the same time, our CEO's office, Allison Lehman, will be in touch with him. He'll have the opportunity to go through every department there is with the county, including the Sheriff's Department and some of our other organizations like mental health up here in Crown Point Circle and probation, you know. He just will have a good learning opportunity. And I hope he comes to a number of our meetings and gets a feel for what it's like in working directly with the public during our meetings.
So tell me more about that. Is there some kind of protocol in place? Like, is there a tour guide for new supervisors that is responsible for onboarding them and making sure they're familiar with everything?
No, well, I believe there is through the CEO's office. I believe Allison Lehman and Caleb Dardick that will be their job. And I know they will do a good job. As far as I'm concerned, I don't really have to do anything. All I have to do is to serve the rest of my term. But I really want it to be a good transition. So I do plan on working with Rob as much as he is willing to work with me too.
Okay. And when does that happen? When does the transition happen?
It's January of 2025 is when he'll take office. And I can't remember the exact date. It's usually like the 4th of January. It's very early.
Okay. So let me talk about a little bit about national and state politics. Nothing specific. I know that there's a ton out there right now about state and local politics, and that's not what we really focus on with this show. But how does the attitude, how does the mood, the national political climate, the state political climate, the divisiveness, how does that affect your work with the county?
I think the county itself, I think we all really kind of try to stay out of that, the political part of it. Although we as supervisors, I at one time was the representative for California State Association of Counties, and I gave that up about 3 years ago, and Heidi Hall now represents the county. Heidi is very active at the state level, and Heidi took it one step further and got us involved with NACO, which is the National Association of Counties.
What is that, National Association of Counties?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, National Association of Counties. So she's been back for Senate hearings, issues such as fire insurance. We've been very heavily involved with the state level and national. Is there some type of legislation that'll help us out here? So we're very involved with the state and the national, but not necessarily the political part of it.
Okay, well that makes sense, and I'm sure that you have to navigate policies that are put in place by the state and anything updated.
Yeah, unfortunately, very much of what we do is dictated by the state, and often they're mandatory programs. So, yeah, we just have to adapt as best we can. And here again, because we not only have the supervisors very active, but we have staff. I think of Phoebe Bell with behavioral health. She's amazing. I think she's considered one of the top knowledgeable persons. I'm sorry, at the state level. So. Yeah, not just the supervisors, but all of our staff very much involved too.
Do you find that as a politician, as an elected representative, you get any blowback from any changes at the state level?
Oh gosh, yes.
Even though it's not really you doing it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, sometimes when you have building department issues, I mean, because a lot of mandatory rules come down for building and code and that type of thing. And it becomes much more costly for people to build or remodel, that type of thing. Behavioral health, mental health, some of the major programs that are going on right now, it's learning how to adapt and trying to make those programs work as best we can. Mm-hmm. And here again, I can't say enough about the people that work for the County of Nevada. Those folks are amazing people.
Right. Yeah, they are. So the political climate, you know, maybe it kind of sometimes works in your favor, sometimes not. Is there any other challenges or roadblocks that you can talk about to really being an effective county supervisor, just in general?
Well, I think that one of the hardest things in being a supervisor, it's not so much the broad policy decisions you have to make. That's a vote. I mean, you just study those things the best you can, and then you decide. And hopefully you decide what your decision is going to be best for the County of Nevada and the citizens. Some of the hardest issues, though, is dealing one-on-one. Often a person doesn't come to me as their supervisor unless they have a problem. And a lot of times it's code, there's laws, there are things that we can't change. As much as it may not feel fair to the citizens. So I've just found that to be one of the very most difficult. And yet it's also one of the most rewarding times when you really can help that person. And usually what I do, I think any of this is, if it involves Public Works, we go to Public Works and say, hey, can we help this person? And if there's no law or anything like that, we're going to do our best to try to make that citizen happy. So again, that can be difficult, but it also can be very rewarding. Mm.
So how can people get in touch with you and have one of those one-on-one interactions with you?
My phone numbers and my email address is on the county website, and usually just takes a phone call. And I've had many of those types of meetings.
Okay, great. So in generally speaking, how can voters and average citizens in Nevada County, other than speaking with you and other supervisors one-on-one, how can they affect the work of the board?
Well, one of the most effective ways is to come to our meetings. We do listen to the public that comes to the meeting. They can come in and make public comment. Oftentimes they can bring a issue forward. Sometimes it doesn't go anywhere, but we tend to listen to it. And especially on public hearings, I think we all really listen to the comments that are made during public hearings. You know, in our South County, and MaryJane, you know this because you sit on our South County Municipal Advisory Committee, I've just found that to be a wonderful thing in that here the citizen has the opportunity to come in, see a project, and really speak freely on it. There's no 3-minute limit. Let's have these conversations. And I think that's been so effective. Now that's going to be up to Mr. Tucker if he continues that, and I really hope he does, because it's been a very rewarding process. And thank you for your time on it.
Sure, it's been my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun and very enlightening. It's a great way to get involved. So the South County Municipal Advisory Council has been a great group of people who've really guided a lot of the improvements that we've seen in District 2. It would be cool if Rob Tucker were to continue those. Is there anything else that you hope, or any visions that you have for District 2 that you hope come to fruition?
Well, I can name 2 things that I'm really excited about. And hopefully both of them are going to start this year. And we've talked about a Class 1 path from Magnolia all the way out to Highway 40, Higgins Way there, almost Highway 49. So that's going to start this year. Very, very happy about that.
Awesome.
And the other major project that is happening is the replacement of the Bear River Bridge on Dog Bar.
Okay.
So when we talk about evacuations and how important that is to the South County area down there, that's going to be huge.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I know that the public is invited to come and give input at the meetings, and maybe even learn details about some of the upcoming projects.
Sure. And in fact, the South County MAC, there's the best place to go. We'll be bringing both those projects as they really start. To the and then there is another project. I know you guys have looked at it already. Kind of a controversial one, which is an AM/PM down there on the north side of the intersection of Wolf and Combi, and that project is still ongoing. So our next meeting is going to focus on that and just what they've done, and tried to maybe change things a little bit based upon what they heard during that the last MAC meeting.
Gotcha. That'll be a great discussion.
I think so.
So if people want to come to a supervisor's meeting and speak to the board, that's every Tuesday? Or?
Second and fourth Tuesday of every month. Yes.
Okay.
And you can, the public comment, it's just a wide range of what we hear. And you get 3 minutes, that's all you get. And the microphone gets cut off at the end of 3. And oftentimes it's things that we've heard many, many times, but oftentimes we get new things that are heard too, and that can lead to, hey, maybe before you leave, talk with so-and-so with Public Works or code compliance.
That's useful. So what time would one show up, and how long should they expect to stay?
Usually public hearing is in the mornings. What we've been doing is the normal pledge, et cetera, and then we go through the consent agenda first. And usually that's very quickly, because not too often we pull items off of that. And then we go into the public comments. So usually by 9:15 or 9:30, we get started on those.
Okay, so it's the first agenda item, and people can come.
One of the first.
Okay,
yes.
okay, and they can really just say their piece and.
But study it. You got 3 minutes.
Right. Okay, got it. So that's really that sounds like a great way that people can affect the work of the board, and I think that's all the questions I have for you today.
Okay.
So one more, getting personal here. What is something in your career that you're especially proud of?
Well, I think the Higgins area plan that we were able to update is one. Some of the major projects on Highway 49, I like to think that we and the citizens group had much to do with a lot of those changes. So the LeBar Meadows project is major. If I remember when I first got elected, the section from Combi Road all the way into Auburn was not completed. It was like a single, just a 2-lane coming down.
Oh, wow.
And you would have traffic coming into Lake of the Pines that would be backed up to Lodestar.
Oh, what?
But even more important, some of the projects that are still going on, the continuation of the multiple lanes going into McKnight Way, that's about to happen. And one of the most exciting ones that we just got approval of this year was the evacuation, which will extend the shoulders from Ponderosa Way all the way down to Combi, 18 feet on the south side 12 feet, I believe that's right, on the north side coming up. And what that does is give room for evacuations, fire evacuations, disaster of any kind, and it gives more lanes, or if there's an accident right now, it blocks up the highway totally. This gives them room for multiple ways of getting around.
That is exciting. So are those also going to be bike lanes?
I don't think bike lanes are included. I wish they were.
Okay.
We need a lot more bike lanes up here. You know that.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to bike from Ponderosa Way or somewhere closer to town down to Comby.
It would be,
Yeah.
yes.
Be pretty epic. So if you'd like more information about the Board of Supervisors and its work in Nevada County, visit nevadacountyca.gov and check out the Government tab. And if you have any feedback on this piece, please email me at ncnpolitics@gmail.com. It has been my privilege to be with you today. Remember, when it comes to politics, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. Thank you, Supervisor Ed Scofield, and thanks for staying informed, Nevada County. I'll see you soon with another special guest.